My job was to make sure they didn't get in no trouble because they were going to trial. So they asked me, and then the FBI was following me. Listen, I worked with a lot of guys. I worked with the Murder Inc. guys, Chris Gotti and Irv and them, and I remember being with them. And those guys, man, they went out partying every night. I'm like, listen, man, I ain't 21 no more. I can't be out here partying all night with you guys because I had the federal government. Well, Leo Cohen asked me to, when they had the trial going on with Supreme the money laundering, I had to stay with Chris. And Chris is a good guy. He's a gentleman. You know, I've stayed with him pretty much day and night. He was always a gentleman. You know, I never had a problem with Chris whatsoever. Murder Inc. guys, you know, we all just, you know, they stayed at the crack house and they went out. My job was to make sure they didn't get in no trouble because they were going to trial. So they asked me, and then the FBI was following me, looking at me like this. They had eyes on me like this, like, what is this guy doing? You know, because it was a federal trial. But my existence and my being there wasn't about to do anything to interfere with their case.
You're doing your job.
It was just making sure that they stayed out of trouble and they went to court when they were told to go to court. That's
okay. I thought it was.
But I did stay with them day and night and day. They gambled. They hung out at the crack house. They call it the crack house. They were in the crack house studio. And then they were in the offices. But like I said, they like partying all night. That's chasing girls and going out and, you know, me getting home 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes. I'm like, oh, I'm tired, man. You know. But for the most part, I never had a problem with those guys. You know, I knew most of them that ran with them, and I can tell you right now, I never had a problem with them.
So, yeah, because when you said you mentioned to me that you bodyguarded them, I thought, were their lives in danger somewhere?
Well, not the lives in danger. They just wanted, Leo Cohen was one of the music execs that was there. He's one I talked to.
Right. So he hired you?
Yeah. He wanted to just make sure that they were staying, there was no trouble coming their way, you know, because this trial was coming up. And he wanted to make sure that they just, you know, did the right thing. Like I said, I stayed with Chris, a friend of mine. He stayed with Irv. He was a retired corrections. He stayed with Irv, and he and Irv went about their business. I couldn't tell you much about Irv because I wasn't with him like that.
Okay.
I was with Chris, but Chris was always a gentleman.
I understand. Was Irv a hothead or?
No, I never really dealt with Irv like that. He was always polite to me. I say hello to him. He say hello back, but that was as far as we went. It wasn't like we were cool like that. Chris and I were a little better because we were together with each other. Not that I knew Chris's personal business, but when we were together, he's always a gentleman.
I understand.
Always.
Any last words before I let you go?
Nope. I think that's about it. I think people are going to probably be like, what else does this guy know?
Now, what they do is...
I'm not saying.
Yeah. What they should do is buy your book, right?
The book is one thing, but the book is good to know, to read it, to see what went on. Because I wrote the book so people could see what difficulties I had.
Right.
Not just investigating or even operating in this type of world, this rap music world. Even as a law enforcement guy and as a regular person, you know, you had to be very careful about my steps and what I did. Because remember I told you about the haters and everything else? Yeah. So, but there's more cases I could tell you about with other people. Sure. But we don't have that time.
I understand. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
All right.